Three.
Okay, guys, this is our subscription channel. This is my first interview. It's really an integration. It's not an interview. This is my friend George the Greek. He's going to be coming onto our platform, and we're going to talk today all about what George and I are integrating our works together. George is going to talk about his work that he's doing as well. And I'm just going to be asking him some questions. We've been working together since January.
Mhm.
George, this is Emily.
Hi,
Uh,
George.
That's the
And
best things about you.
good.
Aw,
Don't
same.
don't tell her about the bad things I said, George.
I didn't. That's why I said the best.
So, George, you want to introduce yourself to our subscription community?
Sure, sure. Yeah, my name is George Constantinou. I'm a psychosomatic, an integrative psychosomatic body worker and therapist. So I integrate a lot of different modalities, including myofascial release, emotional release, some somatic psychotherapy, and energy healing. Kind of all within one session typically. And then I also have a background in movement as a fitness professional, specializing in applied biomechanics and neurology. So
Yeah, it's a nice combo you have, George. And we're,
a lot of fun words, cool things, but without context, it can be a bit abstract, I guess.
well, tell me what your intention is, with all your integrated work. What is your intention that you bring to your clients?
Um, so I guess the intention really, like above all, I think is the essence of holding space for somebody and kind of how Maria always says, to allow for the inner physician to kind of be unlocked in a person's body. So
Right.
I have a lot of cool tools and concepts, but I think the energy that I work for and that we work for kind of goes beyond the conceptual framework that, while is amazing and very useful, can even get in the way, what I might say.
Okay, and Emily started working with me 5 years ago, George.
Hmm.
And with the fascial work now, which you have become a master at doing, it does facilitate your inner physician. It
Yeah.
it literally does show even changes in the body.
Mhm.
Emily had struggled with lymphoma a few times, unfortunately. But no, but she's healing. She's thriving and healing. So the first time I ever worked on Emily, her white blood counts were really low. And
Hmm.
then after we worked on her, right, Em?
Yeah. Yeah, that was in 2017. I relapsed with my lymphoma. I was
Hmm.
initially diagnosed in 2010. So I was pretty young. I was only in high school. I met Maria after I moved back home. I was in remission, but my body was still weak. My immune system was very weak. Um, she invited me to her very first, or your second,
Grease
Greece
retreat.
retreat in Andros in 2019. And she wanted to share the work with me to see, how she could help me and how we can spread this amazing work of fascial release with other cancer thrivers and survivors like me, and other people too. But I had a lot of friends who were also struggling with the disease. And then just after a few sessions, you worked on me weekly that month of March, April. I
Right.
went to my oncology appointment to get my blood work done, and really it jumped back into the normal range where it should be for my immune system to be properly working to fight off, infection and disease and things like
Just
that.
just having that low white blood count that
Mm.
facilitates, that
Yeah.
shows you that this was a documented study.
Yeah.
Wow.
And in June, I think there were about five other cancer patients who came with us to Greece who were undergoing treatment at the time. And the same thing happened with them after 7 days in Greece, doing hours of this healing work, myofascial release, and other modalities that we were
And
teaching.
that's what George will be bringing as well.
Yep,
Mhm.
they went to their doctor appointment a few weeks after to see that, their blood counts really shot up.
So these are the documented studies. And I mention this because this is what you're going to bring your skills with.
Yeah.
You're coming to Greece with me on both occasions.
Hmm.
So let's So let's talk about the different modalities you integrate.
Sure.
Let's talk about the breath work first.
So yeah, so I teach, I was trained through the Oxygen Advantage, which kind of took a lot of concepts from Buteyko. I'm not sure if you might be familiar. But essentially it's about how to restore the functional breath in one system. So I'm going to spit a little bit of science jargon, so bear with me, but I'll break it down in a way that helps to make sense. It's basically how to work with, certain molecules to better oxygenate the system. So
Okay.
essentially through this practice, we're looking to build our tolerance to carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide you could think of as the brain's stress molecule. So if you ever feel really overwhelmed or like you can't breathe or like you're having a panic attack, you think you need more oxygen, but really it's that your brain can no longer handle those levels of CO2.
Okay.
So our goal in this practice is to up our resistance to carbon dioxide or, stress, essentially. Now, what also happens is when carbon dioxide levels go up in the body, that's what allows oxygen, which is bound to hemoglobin, to be released. So higher levels of carbon dioxide are what actually help to oxygenate the system. Okay, so we might think we're getting more oxygen when we're taking bigger breaths, but actually the opposite is happening because what we want is usable oxygen. So you
Right.
have more usable oxygen when you have this slow, light, and deep breath in a more open airway. So what I'll do is be teaching certain tools and tactics that help us build a greater tolerance to carbon dioxide, which is also going to help produce more nitric oxide in the system, which we produce on our own, which is antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal,
Mhm.
tremendous benefits. So we're going to be kind of killing a lot of birds with one stone through this incredible and life-changing breath practice. That's amazing for anybody dealing with, just typical day-to-day stress or more acute, panic disorders or anxiety. This is a really amazing tool.
I invite George to my 6 day retreat in Greece, which is tons of body work, tons of energy work. We're going to activate, we're going to bring in breath work as well into this. And then George and I are kind of creating in Greece, there's another place we're going to go called Metiora. It's a sacred ground of all these monasteries for I think hundreds of years up on these um, up on these cliffs. And so we're going to do a 3 to 4 day intensive retreat there. So we'll
Mhm.
bring that to George. We're going to bring that breath work to both of these events.
Yeah, we'll be teaching a lot more. We're going to kind of go over some specific lymph techniques.
Okay,
Well,
so talk
yeah,
about the lymph because again,
about the lymphatic
the
system.
lymph, like the breath, it's all connected to
And
this.
all of this is it's absolutely all connected. And what we're essentially doing is we're helping the body create space. So we're
Mhm.
creating space and we're going to use different mechanisms to do that. Now, the lymphatic system you could think of as your body's like sewer system. So if my body's this aquarium, I'm thinking of the lymphatic system as the filtration system. So you could imagine if the filter of an aquarium has a lot of junk in it, what might that aquarium look like? It'll probably look yellow, right?
Yes.
So in this process of clearing the lymph, where we're going to show specific techniques, um, you create that space within the filtration system so that the body can drain, the filtration system can drain, and we can have a beautiful blue, healthy aquarium that is our vessel. Does that make sense?
Yeah, again, because the fascial system encases the lymph system,
Yeah.
it's like a nice combination. It's that goes with my now, George, I'm very non specific. It's like, let's just move this shit out that we don't need in our
Yeah,
body.
yeah, yeah. And it's the techniques are super simple and they go completely hand in hand with the fascial release that we're going to do.
Yeah,
And on top of it, it's something amazing that
yeah,
people will be able to bring with them on a
yeah.
day-to-day basis. So it's all great to have this like beautiful moment together and have a lot of releases and healing happen. But I think it's equally as, if not more significant, to give tools to maintain on a day-to-day for your own well-being that I
And
think we offering.
that's it. You and I have the Greek thing. We always like people to take home, to go bags.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
To
These are
go
all Yeah.
food, go nourishment. You take this home with you and you do that. This is up to you though. You have to facilitate your inner physician every day. We're giving you a lot of tools, a ton
Hmm.
of tools.
Yeah.
And at the fascia work, we give foam rolling. We give a ton of foam rolling to take home with you as
Hmm.
well. So we're just adding this into the system. All right, so George, can we talk a little bit about the movement work?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, the movement stuff it can be a little nuanced, but just to break things down a little bit more simply is, kind of how you do anything is how you do everything. So what's kind of informed my practice over these years is that the physical vessel and the way it postures and moves and responds to the environment informs the thought field. And then conversely, the thought field, the energy field, informs the physical vessel. So I try to take tools from kind of both perspectives to create this equilibrium and treat one another, right? So from a movement perspective, what that can look like is we'll often notice that when we move or when we are postured, we're kind of tense and tight and heavy. And even in resistance training, there can be a lot of strain and intensity. So we'll be offering a movement component that is more about softening and
Mhm.
creating space within the structure. So as I create space within my physical vessel and structure, right, from a musculoskeletal and fascial perspective, and a softness, a buoyancy almost, that buoyancy, that soft tensegrity, I like to call it, is going to make its way in the way we perceive the world in the thought field energetically. And then conversely, as we apply these principles within the realm of thought and concept, right, and energy, that's going to inform our physical vessel where we'll be able to maintain this buoyant tensegrity, I like to call.
That's great.
That's a great explanation.
It is.
I've never thought of it that way, but it's just that, when I teach yoga, there is that mind-body connection when you're moving freely and creating space on your yoga mat in your physical body,
Right.
your mind's benefits as well. You suddenly realize, oh, my anxiety just went away. I feel better. I forgot about all the things that I'm stressing about in my life right now because I'm on my mat. I'm so present in my body. But the way you explained it was so beautiful. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and you're making more space. You drop into your heart.
All it is. It really is about creating space. As we create space, energy has space to flow.
Mm-hmm.
There is like I think this is an important point to make as well because within the healing world, we use this word release a lot, right? And like that's another concept that I like to play with because I don't love the word release and it's semantics, even though we are doing myofascial release, emotional release. But what is it really? Because sometimes people think of release as like, I don't want this shit here anymore. I don't want this part of me here. I want to release my sadness. I don't want my sadness here. I want to release my anger. I don't want my anger here. And what that actually does is it tells a part of you, you're not allowed to be here, right? And that creates shame and that creates contraction.
Mhm.
So, in this process, within the way we're moving our body or the way we're kind of perceiving the world, we're not thinking, I don't want to be here. I want to release this. What we're doing is we're holding space and we're offering a safe witness for these aspects of us to unfold as they must. It's the same as when we're doing a myofascial release and I'm just holding a person's body part or fascial region for a significant time. I'm not manipulating anything and I'm not saying go away. I'm just holding space for it to be witnessed and unraveled on its own. And that's very different than saying, you cannot be here anymore. I'm getting rid of you. So, what we're actually doing is we're holding the space to develop an unconditional relationship with aspects of us where they can blossom and grow. So, it's again, sorry to be redundant, it's not a release, it's actually an alchemy and a transmutation of energy. So, I just think that's really important to bring into the framework and what's actually happening within this paradigm.
You're completely integrating, loving the shadow part of you that you've disowned. Now,
Exactly.
I'm going to speak on my behalf of because I'm all about release. It's
Mhm.
that we hold on to some of these energetics
Mhm.
and traumas and dramas that attach to our fascia.
Yeah,
That's the energy we're releasing.
yeah,
Where you're coming in with the second part of that is we're going to embrace and love that disowned part of ourselves
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
got fragmented with the drama and the trauma.
Right.
So,
So it's like it's really semantics. It's like how do you define release, right? It's
but they work together.
exactly,
They
exactly.
work together. So they have a double whammy happening,
Yeah.
right? Releasing the energetics of the trauma that's not working to make room to bring love and compassion to the disowned part, no matter
Mhm.
what part it is.
Right.
Because we
Exactly.
all have different parts, don't we?
Yeah.
And shadow parts as
Mhm.
well. We're diving now into this emotional work that you've been doing,
Right. Yeah.
that you've studied and brought. Now you've integrated it more with the fascial release because you added the fascial release. Tell us about this kind of
Yeah.
the emotional regulation work you're doing, right?
Yeah, again, so the emotional work is really just about kind of guiding somebody using different tactics and tools to guide somebody towards pinpointing a felt sensation in their body. Because emotions, what they really are felt sensations, and allowing the space for it to be processed and moved. Um, Now, one thing I want to add, because the emotional release work that I've studied and done has been incredible, and the conceptual framework is great. With the myofascial release, you really don't have to do that much.
Hmm.
And I love that. And it's so like that's what I was kind of alluding to earlier, where
Right.
it's like this conceptual stuff, and this kind of like contrived facilitation can be useful, but it's so much like smaller and yeah, it's so much less vast than the vastness of the energy that we work for when we're doing myofascial release. Where when we're doing the myofascial release, you're literally just kind of channeling this energy, this consciousness that you've brought in, Maria.
Well,
And,
it's God's consciousness.
and
It's not
yeah, and like
just
you don't really have to do anything. I really don't have to say anything. I really don't have to like, guide someone or kind of allude to certain aspects of themselves. I'm just holding them in that and letting the energy channel through. And I've seen more results in doing that than all of these fantastic things and modalities that I've studied over the last,
sure,
12 years.
sure.
So I just think that it's so important to add to like how special this work is and how really beyond the logical mind it is. So I can't even explain it and tell people like, yeah, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're going to come and there's going to be a complete transformation because, as mentioned, the energy we're working for goes beyond what the conceptual mind can explain or understand.
Yeah, it's actually a regenerative. It's like it's a youthing work and it's regenerative and it's the divine that comes in and it goes with love heals all things. So
Right.
when we bring love to, we hold the space of love. And I like that you've integrated all your works with this because I love the lymph work. I love the movement, the functional patterning work that you're bringing out. That's very different than the actual strength training. It's all
Yeah.
about elongating and making space. And I love the breath work. You know me and this breath work stuff. I love that holotropic breath work or the rebirthing, which we're gonna modify and bring to our work as well.
Mhm.
So, so George, you practice out of New York,
Yeah.
practice out of California, LA area, right?
We're going global. We're going around the world these days.
Going
So
around.
so
And
being
George
yeah,
is the one that's going to bring this work to Australia because I'm not going to Australia right now. So George is going to Australia probably in November.
I'm right there.
Yeah, you're ready. So George, we're gonna kind of close this, and we want to thank you for your time
Thank you. Yeah.
on this subscription piece. We're going to put all your availability to access you on your, is that right? Your GC dash icon.
pc.iconfitness@gmail.com. Oh, or on Instagram.
Yeah,
The
are you still using that?
underscore icon. The icon is for the name of the facility, which was Icon Performance. So it
Okay,
kind of was more of a holistic fitness and wellness center, and now we've kind of gone more into the healing components of everything.
okay, so that you're still using that Instagram account
Correct. Yeah.
for your access point.
Mhm.
Okay, all right, great, George. So I'm going to talk a little bit with you just before we close about let the Christ consciousness within begin. We're doing a 4-day intensive in Galambaka, Greece. It's where Meti Ora is. George and I are going to come together and really kind of deepen with the divine. So in this space, up in Meteora, up in Galambaka, the energies there are very carry the Christ energy deeper, because all these monasteries that have been intact for what last few hundred years, these monasteries are on these cliffs, and in the monasteries live the monks and the sisters, and basically they channel and pray all day long divine love. So the energy currents up there are a little bit more vast, and then we're going to bring our work to this, and double that vibration. And we're also going to create 1 or 2 monastery trips where I have I'm going to be talking with one of the sisters that will hopefully bring us in and give us private meetings and show us their world. And George has a friend that does some hiking at different of the vortexes.
Yeah.
Right, George?
The land incredibly well. The geography, the land is amazing. And even if you weren't going to go see the monasteries, just the land alone has so much to offer. But obviously I suggest, doing the whole bits.
Yeah, so we're going to do 1 or 2 hikes there. So we're going to put this also in the subscription, the 2 particular retreats we're doing that George is going to join me with. So I just wanted to mention that at the end of our little subscription thing here, George.
Yeah, I'm excited about it all. These are always fun. I kind of go in, I'm like, well, I wonder what we're going to talk about. And then, God takes over and it kind of unfolds the way.
God takes over everything. So good. And both you and I work for God, and so does Emily. Yeah. And but Emily's really holding the fort now with this new, all this backdrop stuff. So
Emily, you're killing it.
Oh, thank you. It's all fun stuff. I love to do it and help Maria.
Well, we're helping, yeah. We originally we're also called Release and Realign. Realign, RIALIGN.
Yeah.
We realign with our true selves.
And spell it wrong.
No, and Ria comes from my
name.
My nickname from birth, Ria, RIA. They called me Ria.
Yeah.
So it's all about release and realign to your true self.
Yeah, beautiful.
All right, George. So we're going to be bringing that to Greece. So the Meteora, the Christ consciousness retreat is from the 12th to the 15th.
It's going to be life-changing for sure.
And then we're going to go over to Mykonos from the 17th to the 22nd. And there'll be tons and tons and tons of fascia release, body work there as well, breath work, lymph work, all that, all the stuff, all the crap to facilitate your inner physician.
Thoughts are going to fill fast for both, right?
Well, yeah, we're pretty filled. Yeah, we just threw out the Christ consciousness one now. So we're going to throw that out. And so that's it, George. I think I took up enough of your time today.
Got all the time for you, Maria. Thank you.
Thank you, George. It was nice finally meeting you.
Yeah, likewise. Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, George. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.